It has officially been 1 year since the PlayStation 5 Professional has released. And right from the beginning of its announcement, discussions were swirling if this type of console was even necessary. Games for the most part were running and looking great on the base PS5. But here we have a console with enhanced GPU power and Sony's own in-house AI upscaler. Could this really make games look their best while playing at the highest frame rates? Well, after a full year of game releases and updates, we know the answer to this question, and the overall consensus is, well, complicated. So complicated, in fact, it has me asking myself, do I regret buying the PS5 Pro? And is it worth you to upgrade if you haven't already? Let's find out and review the first year of Sony's flagship console, the PlayStation 5 Pro. I remember back when Sony first announced the PlayStation 5 Pro, feeling just genuinely surprised. There were those rumors early on, of course, about a more powerful console, but I felt like this generation with the PS5 didn't really feel like it was missing out on something that required that extra horsepower. Unlike the PlayStation 4, which was only a 1080p HD machine, and it was smack dab in the middle of the rise of 4K, the PS4 Pro was released to answer and meet the demand for 4K devices. So that one to me made sense. That felt justified. But a PS5 Pro, well, all these games already run at 60 FPS, and majority do look incredible. Sure, the graphical jump from PS4 to PS5 was not as huge as previous generations, but the PS5 really felt like a fully realized machine that was delivering on both quality and performance. With the formal announcement video from the great Mark Cerny, it seems the big promise for the Pro console was delivering the quality visuals with the performance we expect of 60 FPS, and that was going to be offered without the compromise of choosing between a quality mode or a performance mode. And was this promise kept? Well, after its launch, the initial lot of games patched for Pro support were mostly first-party titles. And I'll be fair, these games do look great. While not all of them offer a drastic visual bump, these games would appear sharper and maintain a silky smooth 60 FPS. Of these titles, a few did make quite the difference, notably Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The original performance mode on PS5 would render the game into unfortunately, a blurry, muddy mess. But using the added horsepower of the PlayStation 5 Pro, you were finally able to enjoy the game at 60 FPS and still maintain decent visual clarity. The other games, however, you may have to squint your eyes or go back and forth to truly notice a difference. And unfortunately for us, on the other side of the spectrum, we had games that began releasing to less than awesome results. I think we all remember the first initial update for Jedi Survivor, a game that looked well enough in its performance mode on PS5. But with the Pro, the update made the game look like a glitchy strobe light nightmare. And you see, this was and still is the problem with the PlayStation 5 Pro. It's just such a mixed bag, from amazing visual upgrades to straight up visual bugs that ruin the experience. And this all comes down to the main feature of the PlayStation 5 Pro, and that's its AI upscaler, PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. Sure, this is an early in-use AI upscaler, and yeah, it will get better in time as more data is collected and the AI is improved, I get that. But for now, a lot of our problems seem to be coming from compatibility issues or lack of optimization with this upscaler. Of these problems, I could think none more glaring than issues with one specific game engine. And it's a game engine that is already becoming notorious on its own, even without PSSR integration. You already know what I'm going to say, it's Unreal Engine 5. And oh man, this is where the problems really begin to shine bright like a cursed poopy diamond. The first most notable UE5 game that I think of that got updated for the PlayStation 5 Pro and was a disaster would probably be Silent Hill 2. This was a game already suffering performance issues, and the Pro was unable to fix even that, still struggling to lock at 60 FPS in certain areas. But worse off, with the developers implementing an older version of PSSR, this AI upscaler mixing with the UE5 Lumen lighting resulted in an absolute dumpster fire. And worse off, when these updates first came out, there was no way to toggle or turn off the PSSR. So you were stuck playing the game in these modes with terrible visual glitches. The same issues have popped up in more recent titles like Metal Gear Solid Delta and Silent Hill F. While these visual issues have been lessened in more recent updates for these games, the fact these are slipping through the cracks it's honestly it's unacceptable, especially for anyone who spent the coin for this expensive machine. It's not a good look when we fork out our wallets for a promised elite gaming machine and then are met with the worst versions of that game. Some, like I mentioned, with no option to default to a different mode or version. It devalues the product, which is a shame because I can see the ideals Sony is pushing forward with the PS5 Pro. And in this moment, I'm not even sure who to blame for the mess that some of these games are releasing in. Is it fully on the developers for not knowing how to optimize? Or is it on Sony for not giving out clear instructions to optimize for their machine learning PSSR? I would love to hear your thoughts on this, so let me know what you think. The mixed bag nature of these games running on the PlayStation 5 Pro is frustrating. I do wish all of these games were like the first party titles. Horizon Forbidden West is an amazing example. It opted to not even use PSSR, instead using the additional GPU and overclocked CPU power to brute force the game's resolution. And it looks absolutely amazing. Granted, the people over at Guerrilla are a different breed of developers though. And they're also using the Decima engine, which is just an amazing engine. Shout out to the more recent Death Stranding 2, another standout pro title that showcases what is possible when done right. So clearly the issue, while not solely with UE5, the majority of our issues on Pro seem to stem with the games running on this engine. These games don't even play super well on the base PlayStation 5. And for PC gamers, yeah, we all know what's going on there too. And yes, that was a stutter joke. Hopefully that made someone laugh. I think I'm funny, alright? So it seems that no one is having a good time. And if you ask me, developers offering a toggle for PSSR should be the standard. I'll quickly shout out one UE5 game, Hell Is Us. Technically, a very sound game with only a couple performance hitches here and there, but you know what? It offers a toggle for PSSR. Using it, the image does appear slightly sharper, but once again, we get that weird strobe artifact effect in shrubs and other areas. I'm very happy I have the option to turn it off and enjoy the game without these visual bugs. So, fingers crossed this will continue with other UE5 titles, but I'm not holding out too much hope. Now, I've touched lightly on the price of this console, and so much has been said. I won't say much more other than that, yeah, it's an expensive boy. And I know in some markets, like the US, it has gotten even more expensive, which is absolutely insane, and it's a damn shame. Because at this point, honestly, it's just a hard sell when so many games are coming out either in broken shape or the pro enhancements are so minimal you may not even notice a true difference. And at that point, it doesn't really justify the extra $200 that this console costs. In closing, it feels like the PS5 Pro has yet to justify its own existence. With a base PlayStation 5, you are still playing games at 60 FPS, with many offering uncapped modes on 120Hz displays. So you're literally playing above 60 FPS with a base PS5. And at least in regard to those wonderful first-party Sony titles, these games look amazing on base and on the Pro. It would appear this Pro console really was created as an interim step towards the PlayStation 6. And it's no secret the future console will be fully embracing AI upscaling, with Sony even going as far as partnering with AMD to have a joint effort in improving their machine learning model. And of course, there are those rumors of PSSR 2 or 2.0, I'm not sure what we're calling it, but there might be a newer updated version of PSSR coming out next year. Will this improve all these games that I've been complaining about? Will they even be updated to take advantage of the new version of PSSR? Or does this new version of PSSR even exist, or is it all being saved for the PlayStation 6? There are a lot of questions surrounding the PlayStation 5 Pro's future, and if these issues are able to be fixed in year 2, then I think the PS5 Pro will begin to finally seem a bit more worth the cost. But on the flip side of that coin, this also brings into question the usability of the Pro, as the PS6 is certainly only a few years away, maybe even as soon as 2027. And at that point, if you're someone who is wanting the latest, greatest console, what purpose will the PS5 Pro offer you, or any of us? The PlayStation 6 may just make this console completely obsolete, but maybe I am getting a little ahead of myself here. Time will tell whether the PlayStation 5 Pro is able to justify its high price tag. And all this leads to that final question: do I regret buying my PlayStation 5 Pro? Not entirely. For me, I still think it is worth it, but would I recommend someone pick it up? Probably not. Unless you're someone like me and you just have to have the latest and greatest thing. It's a mental illness I have. I can't help it. At the end of the day, for myself, I still find enjoyment in having the professional console. Of course, everything coming out of UE5 with this, it is, disappointing because I paid a lot of money for this console, so I want the best version. But the second year, we'll see what happens here. My fingers are crossed that good things come out of this console, so that way I can even feel more justified in my purchase. So I am curious for anyone else who has the PS5 Pro, how are you feeling about it? Are you fully regretting it, kind of wishing you just stuck with the base PS5? Or are you someone who's been curious about the Pro, and are you still thinking about going for it? Let's talk about it down in the comments. I want you guys to let me know. And of course, thank you so much for watching the video as well. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want to watch more videos, I did make one video right here, PS4 Pro versus the PS5 Pro. That was a pretty fun video, so feel free to check that out. And click subscribe for more PlayStation content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, happy gaming.